Hello and welcome to your programme Q&A webinar session. Today's session will cover the MSc in Critical Care. And we've got our panel here today who can hopefully answer any questions you have about the programme. So please do use the chat box to ask any questions, but don't panic if you don't get a chance to ask the question or you think of something after. The programme contact email address is on the programme webpage and I can pop that into the chat for you. So you do have other opportunities to ask your questions. And we are recording this session too. So I think we'll kick off by just going around the panel, everybody introducing themselves. So Mark, would you like to kick off and then we'll go through you all?
So hello, my name is Mark Beeston. I'm a medical doctor who works as a resident doctor in critical care at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in Glasgow, and I'm part of the faculty for the Masters in Critical Care programme at the university.
Melania?
Hello, my name is Melania Gemona Ramirez, and basically I have a similar post to Mark. I basically work in critical care in Queen Elizabeth in Glasgow and as a teaching fellow, and so part of my job has to do with this master.
Barry?
Hi, I'm Barry Bourne. I'm the Programme Administrator for the Masters in Critical Care, so I would be your first point of contact for all administration once students are successfully on the programme.
Asser?
Hello everyone, my name is Asser. I am currently a student in the current year in the program. I'm from Saudi Arabia. And my clinical background is anesthesia technology, and I'm also a teaching fellow.
Great, thank you. And Mark, I believe you got a presentation if you want to sort of kick us off.
Yeah, we've just got a short few slides that just explains a bit more about the background of the programme as well. So Prof Al Haddad is our programme lead along with Professor Malcolm Sim, who are both intensivists based at the Queen Elizabeth in Glasgow. So obviously here's a wee bit about the history of the University of Glasgow in terms of its international reputation, and it's first in the UK as the Ross Group University for Teaching, and obviously it's got a long history of research and scientific excellence. In terms of student body, there's 43,000 students from more than 140 countries at the university. That's not just our programme, and it's in the top 20 for graduate employability, of which the MSc programme in critical care is highly sought after by employers. And there's also lots of opportunities for on-campus students to take part in student clubs and societies. In terms of the on-campus MSc, it's taught primarily at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in Glasgow, which is the largest critical care department in Scotland and one of the largest critical care units in the whole of the UK. It is a major trauma centre and a tertiary centre for multiple specialties, so it's an experience to get opportunities to obtain a postgraduate degree in the field of critical care in one of the leading centres in the UK. I don't know, Barry, do you want to discuss the structure?
Yeah, certainly. So all students take a total of 180 credits. So this is comprised of 3 took courses in semester 1, and each course is 20 credits. So students would do 60 credits in semester 1, 60 credits in semester 2, so another 3 courses. And once they reach the dissertation stage, as long as the students have the right number of credits and they've passed them all satisfactory, they can then proceed on to the dissertation. Do you want to proceed here, Mark or Melania?
Yeah. Basically here it's just a table which shows you the courses you will have. So 3 courses in the first semester, which are research and writing skills, causes of multi-organ failure, and evidence-based quality improvement. So the first semester will go up until December roughly, and then in January you will start with the other 3 courses, which is management of multi-organ failures, sepsis, and critical care governance. After which you will have allocated time for your dissertation or independent project. Most students do a dissertation more than a project. And this is something that you can start working earlier on your academic year. Basically, you will have an allocated supervisor, and this is how you can start working towards it. So when semester 3 comes, you have some stuff already done. So basically you can allocate more time to it. So for the research project, this is either a research project or a dissertation. So it counts for 60 credits. And as I said before, basically you will have an allocated supervisor earlier on in the academic year, and you will decide which project you will, which is the topic of your dissertation. And you can start working earlier on. Most people do a literature search, which it's basically it's easier to do than a research project as a whole. If someone would like to do a research project as a whole, that it's convenient to say that earlier on and see the possibilities of that. And basically this is just because some people sometimes wonder how are weeks, basically how is to be on the on-campus course. Basically most classes, most lectures will be either on Tuesdays or Thursday mornings. Most classes, almost all of them, are in the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in the critical care unit. And this is an example of a week that actually had a lot of lectures. There will be other weeks that have a bit less. And basically you have the rest of the time to work on the materials that are recommended in the lectures themselves.
And then for assessments, there's a mixture of formative and summative assessments for each course. So, for example, there will be normally an oral presentation or a poster assignment that is both formative and summative, and then a written assignment as well that may be, for example, to critically appraise a piece of evidence. You can see an example of that here for a neurosurgical block. All the formative assessments are completed normally in sort of week 3, roughly, of each course. And then there's an opportunity to gain feedback on both the written and the oral assignments before you then progress to your summative assignments, which count towards your credits. In terms of the teaching approaches that we take, it's primarily essays and presentations are the assessment format, but there'll also be opportunities during the teaching sessions for discussion forums between the students and faculty. There'll be evidence review sessions or critical appraisal sessions where you discuss evidence and the evidence base for how we practice in critical care, and also opportunities for reflection as well. And we also, when possible, try and provide opportunities for simulation and bedside teaching as well. So you can see the evidence base and how to critically appraise that evidence base, but also how we bring that into practice and actually practice medicine in critical care. So that was just a very short presentation, just giving you sort of an overview of the programme. Thank you for listening, and we're happy to answer any questions. And obviously Asa can give us the student's perspective as well.
Yeah, we've just had a question that's popped through there asking about sort of transport to the Queen Elizabeth. So how do you find that? Asa, that might be a nice one for you to answer. How do you find getting to the classes?
Okay, for the transportation, we solely use the buses. So I only know the transitions of the transportations from the city center, or from the some of the students might rent from besides of the University of Glasgow. I think it's Calvin Grove Museum. From there, we can take the transportation, the transportation. You have another alternative, such as if you want to take an Uber, maybe. But the most effective way is using the buses, because it's more effective on cost, and it's maybe on the time also, because you can I don't know, you can come early using the buses, because most of the classes, as shown, start from 9 in the morning, so you won't have that rush in the morning. From the city center, you also have some transportations. I'm not going to mention the name of the company of the buses or the routes, but you usually have multi options for the transportations, either by using the buses or the Uber maybe. But you have a car, it's up to you. There are some parking spots in the hospitals, so you are covered for the transportations.
Yeah, and Google Maps is always quite a good place to look. If you've got an idea of where you're going to be living, you can sort of check that out, and it's quite good at giving some routes as well. And if you're really struggling, if you get in touch, I'm sure we can help you out to kind of give you an idea of how best to get there. And in terms of after sort of studies, Mark, Melania, Barry, what kind of things do students go on to do? Do they tend to go back to their own jobs, or is it in terms of progression? What sort of things do they do?
So I think it's quite mixed. The whole point of the MSc program is that we want people to go back and be leaders in their own departments, or if they are looking to progress their careers, and to use this opportunity as a stepping stone to make them, highly sought after by employers in the future. We have students from a variety of backgrounds. Obviously, Asa comes from an anaesthetic background, but we've also got dietitians, physiotherapists, critical care nurses. Some of those people work within the NHS. Other people are looking to work in the NHS in the future, possibly, but also a lot of people come from abroad and looking to go back and use the skills they've gained from the MSc program to really progress and become leaders in their own departments.
Perfect. And Asser, in terms of the transition, so sometimes we've got students that are coming straight from undergraduate studies or from working. So how did you find the transition into your masters?
So the transition from, in my experience, actually, I'm not gonna say this, the undergraduate and the postgraduate are similar, but in my situation, actually, it was 80% similar, because we had the same lectures, we had the same courses in the undergraduate, so it wasn't difficult in the context of the master itself. But as an international student, it's an always struggle, because you're leaving your family, you're leaving your spouse maybe, and you're coming to the new country, new culture. So this transition might be difficult for some students. So I always encourage them to arrive early, give yourself a head start. Don't come before the start of the program 2 or 3 days, because the transition will be hard on you, because you're just not coming to the new study. No, you're coming to the new country, so you have to give yourself some time to adjust to the city. The weather also, it's a struggle. You have to come early to adjust to the weather. We had some sick leave starting from the program till now, so you have to adjust to the weather. So the transition is not hard, but the transition is not easy, but it's not possible. It's not impossible. So you can adjust to it, but just give yourself some time.
Yeah, I think based on feedback from obviously previous students and this year's cohort is that obviously postgraduate qualifications there's a step up in the amount of independent work required, and obviously learning to write in a scientific way and in a way that is sort of critically appraising research, and then moving on to maybe do your own projects and write that up independently. Especially if English maybe isn't your first language, that can be challenging, and that does require some adaptation. The first course we do is called Research and Scientific Writing, that aims to hopefully make it a bit more of a level playing field, give everyone a grounding in how we critically appraise things and how to structure scientific arguments and writing scientifically. And then support is there. So both through the course and the university, there are resources available to help people with both their language skills and their scientific writing to help support them through the program. And normally what we see is that there's an adaptation period at the start. I'm sure Ash would agree. Your first formative assignment comes quite quickly. That's a few weeks into your course, and obviously that's a bit of a shock for everyone when suddenly there's a question to answer and assignments to do. But normally what we see is a really nice progression through the year of people adapting and really embracing how to take a sort of evidence-based and scientific approach to the literature.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice as well. And the earlier you get in touch, if there's any support that you're aware that you might need, the earlier we can put you onto that. And Barry, I'm sure you're constantly sharing stuff because there's loads going on, isn't there?
Yeah, the support mechanisms at the university. So we get a few contacts from the students where they need to improve upon their academic writing, and that's noticeable perhaps in the first couple of courses. And there's a wealth of knowledge here at the university that students can tap into, courses that they can enroll on just to improve their writing. And as Mark said, as I said, where English is not your first language, you've obviously got to overcome that barrier as well, but suddenly write into a certain style, not in your own language. But there is a whole wealth of opportunities here for the students to tap into. Can I ask a question as well, perhaps of Asa, is how he's felt being out at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, but also being a student at the same time? And did you feel that you're able to tap into all the student organisations and bodies that are available?
So I'm gonna answer as I can experience with the situation here as an international student and also as a student representative. The support sessions that we have either outside from the department or inside the department, we have support sessions inside the department with in each course with the faculty and with the teaching fellows regarding the assignments and regarding how to do well on the assignments and understanding the task that we have and we have to do in each course. Regarding the support sessions or the support systems that we have outside the department, starting with the SEC in the University of Glasgow. They have what I was using previously, and I had a meeting last week. The library support session and librarian technician, and I think they called librarian technician. I don't know exactly. They help you with your search in the dissertation. They help you with your research project. If you wanna some books or references that might have a struggle accessing the references or some articles, if you want to raise your concern to the library, and they will give you the access in a matter of days, in 2 days actually. So the support is amazing in the either inside the hospital, inside the department in the critical care, or in the University of Glasgow. So it was a pleasant experience for me.
Oh, that's really good. And Aster, what's been yours? What have you enjoyed most about your masters so far?
It's hard to mention only one thing, but it's a mixture of feelings actually, because it starts with the amount of knowledge and experience I've gained throughout the master from the first day until now. The experienced staff and faculty that I've worked along with, and the community that I've known in my cohort and my colleagues. But if I may say only one thing, is I'm here in the master, I'm learning about the master in critical care, but actually I am learning about my own clinical unit more. How? Because in every assignment or in every assessment you will be taking, you have to mention your own clinical unit, because as Mark mentioned, the career perspective is to go back to your own country to become leaders. So what's the point of the master if you didn't apply it to your own clinical unit? So the more assignment I do, the more tasks I have to do in the master, I learn more about my clinical unit. So it might be weird, but if you are in my position, you will know what I'm thinking, what I'm saying. So when I'm back to my own clinical unit, to my own practice and area, I will be more aware of what's going on, and because I've worked a lot of assignments referring to the clinical unit. So that's the most important and the most part that I'm enjoying, because I've become more aware of what's happening in the clinical unit.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And this is actually quite a good question because it does come up quite a lot. We've been asked, is there much patient contact throughout the masters?
So I think it can vary. So for every course, we try and build in a bedside teaching session or a simulation session that tends to be very well received by the students, in my experience, because it allows them to see the clinical applicability of all the evidence base and the research that they're poring over every week. There are some courses that obviously lend themselves a bit more readily to that than others. So, for example, going back to the list, the causes and management of multi-organ failure or sepsis. Obviously, we see a lot of that in our critical care units, so we can demonstrate that easily, or we can provide simulations on those topics quite easily. Some of the other ones, it can be a bit more challenging. So, for example, research and scientific writing skills, our evidence-based quality improvement, or the governance courses. Obviously, there's slightly limited opportunities there in terms of patient contact. But what we try and do is then we incorporate other things. So, for example, in the governance course, we get one of our consultants anaesthetists who leads the M&M process for the critical care and anaesthetic departments in Glasgow. So he comes in and he will essentially run like a mini M&M with a case, and then just so you can see how the process runs. So we try and incorporate it whenever possible.
That's great, thank you. And I think maybe our last question, oh, we've got some come through here. I think it's just asking the if they wanted to come in for extra days simulation, but I assume that the program structure is a program structure that obviously that's the days that you would then be in, but in terms of additional support, if you were needing anything else, just contact yourselves.
That'd either be through the teaching fellows or your supervisor if you felt that you needed additional support or experience in a particular area. Any sort of simulation or bedside teaching sessions, they're all timetabled in and will take place either on a Tuesday or a Thursday, and occasionally additional days depending on faculty availability.
Perfect.
I think in that regard it's important to highlight that even if there are some clinical sessions and bedside teaching, the master's focus is mainly on the academic side. So there won't be that many sessions clinically, and there is not much, like, it's not a clinical master. So basically the bedside teaching can be once or twice per course. So basically the focus will be on the academic side mainly.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to highlight. And if you do want any sort of further information, do get in touch, and all our courses are on the webpage, and they've all got links that you can see a wee bit more about them too. But I think our last question, Asser, you mentioned about arriving early, giving yourself plenty of time to settle in, which is great advice. But is there any other advice that you would give to students potentially starting in September? I don't know, Asser, would you like to kick off and then we can go around the room?
If I were starting the master again, I would certainly search more or refresh my memory about the research skills and research types, because as an undergraduate, maybe the last time we did a research or the last time we took lectures about research was a way ahead long ago. So always refreshing your memories for research type, different research type, because as Mark mentioned, the first course will be research and scientific writing skills. So you will start on a heavy start actually for the master, but this research skills course will help you a lot in the upcoming assignments and upcoming research, because everything you learn in this course will be the basis and the cornerstone of what's coming next. So becoming or preparing for this course and preparing for the start of the master with refreshing your memory in the research context will help you a lot. Also, we mentioned the 6 courses we have. This advice actually I am giving to all my friends that are actually considering the program next year, so I will share it with you. You've seen the 6 courses we have. Each course talks about single cohort of patients maybe, but this advice will be saving you a lot of time, a lot of efforts. Just go explore the guidelines and policies that you have in your own clinical unit in each context of the courses we have here. Why I'm saying this, because in every time I'm doing the assignment, as we mentioned, every time you will be mentioning your own clinical unit, the majority of time is being wasted on me searching for the guideline and policy in my clinical unit in the context of the assignment. So just exploring, for example, if we have a course of multi-organ failure and we have a course for sepsis, just search for the guidelines for sepsis in patient with sepsis in your clinical unit. Keep it, know it, because when you do the assignment, you will be writing a lot of word counts on the part where you have to mention your clinical unit. So just exploring the guidelines, keep it with you. It will save you a lot of time. It will save you a lot of effort in searching.
Thank you. I think that's great advice. Mark, Barry, Malaria, have you got anything else you'd like to add to that?
I think if you're coming from overseas, then especially just having some careful planning in the run up to it in terms of settling into a new country and a new work program, especially if you are considering moving over from family, with family, sorry, and just making sure that you've got lots of lead time because it is quite an intense course once it kicks off in September. It's a pretty packed program between September and April. And then if you are UK based or you work in the NHS already, then please explore the opportunities with your line manager regarding bursaries, for example, or about sort of restructuring your work schedule to allow you to participate in the program. And that's something that your line manager should hopefully be encouraging and work with you.
Yeah, and on top of what Mark and Nasser have said, I think it's because it's a master's, as we said before, there is a lot that depends on basically what students do in their own time. So basically there will be a lot of lectures, but it's important to be kind of highly organized to try to go through the recommended, for example, papers and other resources that basically you won't be able to see during the lecture, but you need to do it in your own time. So I suppose that can be challenging if you are not too organized. So I suppose that's something, yeah, you can work on as well.
Thank you. And Barry, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, lastly from me, I would say as the feedback will come thick and fast, and every conversation, every lecture, every tutorial, every feedback being sent back to you is an item of feedback. Learn from it. Where you do get written feedback, make sure you're not just looking at the grades, but you're actually reading the feedback in total. You're learning from the experience that the academic tutor has given you, just so you can take that to your next assignment. And it's a learning curve. And this year, we've definitely seen that the first assignment grades are rising all the time. So yeah, it's a definitely learning experience, but one which will be definitely beneficial to you.
Yeah, great. That's all great advice. And that is the end of our session. So that went really fast. Thanks very much for taking time out of your day, everybody. I know that you've got a lot on, so thank you. And hopefully everybody watching has found that useful. Like I said, if you use the email address on the screen, if you've got any further questions after you've watched this, do get in touch. There's no such thing as a silly question. And hopefully we'll see you all come September. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.